Just stop it. The run-of-the-mill, cheesy, humdrum bullshit status quo just tires me out. What fascinates me are the industry disruptors, the superhuman frontiersmen or women who go through hell to achieve their goals. Join me as we meet and learn from those mavericks, rebels, and business leaders that aren't afraid to piss off the establishment in order to make radical change for good. Sponsored by Johto PR, the disruptive anti-PR firm that murders your competition with cinder blocks and cyanide. This is Disruption Interruption. Welcome back, everybody, to Disruption Interruption. I'm your host, KJ, and we're here today to talk to another industry leader that has steered off and is steering off the lame, tired path of the status quo. All right, let's get real about the standard startup narrative. We're told that failure is just a badge of honor. Globally, 80% of new businesses crash and burn within the first few years. The venture capital world expects it. Incubators accept it, and founders are left holding the bag. The system is broken. Traditional accelerators use this or use a cookie-cutter copy-paste playbook that doesn't always work, while legacy banks tie up small teams in bureaucratic red tape where 92% of applicants just give up. Our guest today is a global change leader and a heavy-hitting investor who is also an entrepreneur and completely rewriting the rules of economic survival. He's disrupting the startup survival curve. While everyone else accepts these failure rates, his ecosystem has flipped the script to hit a mind-blowing 80% success rate. I want to hear all about it. So let's get into it. Please welcome the Executive Director of Ignite Bermuda, Sean Reel.
Hi, KJ, and hi, everybody. Nice. Greetings from Bermuda. It's over here.
Greetings from Bermuda. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
yes, so
really
jealous.
excited to be on today and for you, to share some of the lessons over the last 7 years of building out the world's best accelerator. Which
I love that.
Quite a journey. And, when we're in this moment of huge upheaval and change, the reshaping of the whole market is happening underneath us. And a lot of the lessons from startup world are impacting mid to large size corporates. And they're going to have to change. Well, they have no choice.
I love that we're talking about this because, Sean, ever since COVID happened, COVID was a real eye-opener that I have seen for many people. They all of a sudden realized everything was interconnected and interrelated. And then you're talking about this whole startup culture of how it's impacting mid to large companies, right? The mid-market, the enterprise market. It's so very true. We're gonna dig into that because that's a data point people forget. It's not siloed.
Yes.
So I just want to ask you this.
Yeah.
What has driven you towards disruptive innovation in your life, towards this path? What's been the common denominator of that?
I'd ask the audience to think about the two things they have the least of or are focused on. And the audience is either thinking about time, money, or health. Those are the three things that are most common. In entrepreneuring, it's time and money. And how do you use the time and money and resources that you've got to maximize your impact in the world? And if that's for wealth or health or whatever, how do we move those things about? So it's a function of being bold and saying, throw all the rule book away and start again. So if you throw all the rule book away, because the old rule book said 80% of startups will fail and large corporates can't innovate. So what are we going to do in a world where you and I could rewrite a company in 2 weekends, literally? Using AI, we could redesign and rebuild a care home management system in a couple of weekends. A business that is $100 million, $200 million turnover is suddenly usurped by two people in a garage. We're back to that stage. We're back to that point. So
when you say we're back to that point, what do you mean by that?
That was true in, maybe the 70s, that period of the development of, small garage-based businesses that could disrupt large corporates. And that's happening faster, NVIDIA
so fast.
Is 15 years old.
Yeah.
And it is a $2-3 trillion business. So if that's happening faster and faster and faster, we're probably, in the realm of a $1 trillion business existing within 12 months of now. From startup to $1 trillion of valuation.
Has that happened yet? It's not happened.
It's not happened yet. It may be happening as we speak. If you look at Anthropic, it's a bit older than a year, but let's say it's 4 years, 5 years from real startup to, when they all left and the 7 founders left and started. Now, for me, it was about if you've got limited time and limited resources and you want to invest that time and money into creating more jobs and more opportunities for people in your community, to make your community better, more stable and more purposeful, then how do you do that? Because if you put $1 million to work and 80% of it's gone in the first 2 years, then you're working from a much smaller base.
Yes. Well,
So
you started an accelerator, right? And you started it to go against the grain of traditional accelerators.
yeah.
Please explain to our audience, what has been the good, the bad, the ugly about traditional accelerators. Obviously, they worked at some point, but things have not evolved and we're having to change the status quo.
I think that there's a lot of skills-based stuff that has been delivered. So it's education delivery, program delivery, but they've provided the skills. I could provide you with the capital and the skills, and you will fail. 80% of the failures that we see in startup land are not because they haven't got enough money, and it's not because they haven't got a good set of tech skills or management skills.
Oh, yes.
That's all right. 80% of them, have, if you gave them the skills and you gave them the money, they would still fail. And it's mindset that's the difference. So we have a poster in our accelerator that's probably the most important question that everybody should ask themselves every day in whatever they're trying to do. And it's, what is stopping you? And it's not the money.
Now, and so when you say mindset, okay, so that's a hard statistic, 80%. They have the money, they have the skills, right? Then we're talking about something that's very intangible and it almost seems so nebulous. How do you get a mindset, right? There's explain more about this. How is that generated, helped in an incubator, accelerator?
So we run not a coaching model, we run an enablement model, which is I won't tell you what to do. I'll ask you questions that will guide you to the self-awareness that takes you to the point where you can make your own decisions. And that's fundamentally
what's happening now. They're being told what to do.
I think there's a lot of that. AI is actually encouraging that. It's saying, yes, you should give up your job and do
AI is going to tell you what you think you want to hear.
Yeah, you're in a situation with a combination of I've got the skills, I've got the money, but it's still not working. And a good example of that would have been just a very simple reframing. We had a young lady on the program. She was in a very good job. She wanted to give the job, but she just not enough salary, just short. If I only get $3,000 more, I can give up my job and do this full time. And I asked her 2 questions. I said, what problem are you solving and who are you solving it for? Now, everybody should know the answers to those questions if you're starting a business. But in those 2 questions was the answer to her problem. But she had to discover it. You may know how to run a PR. You do clearly know how to run a PR business. If you were trying to teach me how to run a PR business, the best way is not to show me your business processes, but to ask me questions.
Yes. First you have to know the purpose, right? You have to know the product that you're going to be delivering, and then you can figure that out mostly.
And she went from a situation where she said, look, I'm doing 7,000 a month. If I get to 10,000, I'm going to give up my job. And I said, what if you were to do 70,000 a month? And she went, there's no way. I'm doing 7,000. I said, go away and answer those 2 questions and come up with a plan that gets you to 70,000 a month. She came back about 10 days later. She said, I've been working really hard and I changed one thing and I've done $70,000 in 7 days.
Shiza.
Yeah. So all the skills, all the money, wrong mindset, wrong questions, leads you down the path. And the only thing she changed was in her proposition was she was saying, I provide online coaching and support to women in transition in Bermuda. Now, you know the answer to that. Your audience knows the answer to that. What do you need to change in Bermuda, right? Because it's a global audience and you're doing it online. Now, if I told her that and she'd gone away with that knowledge, she'd never know how to do that next time around.
Well, I guess it wasn't on her own determinism. I don't think it ever works for you to solve people's problems for them.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a really good study with people going into a shop. They're shown origami models, asked to value them, and then they're taken into a room and they have to make an origami model. and then they have to value their origami model afterwards. It's that, what is the real value of that? So before it was worth $5. Now I've experienced how complicated the process is and how difficult it is, how long it takes. It's now worth $20.
Right.
You've just got to have that perspective, and also you've got to learn it yourself. There's no amount of coaching books, videos that you can watch that is going to change that.
It's so very true. I mean, even in training employees and so forth, it's always good to have them evolve some on the job first before they do training because they have no reality.
Yes, yeah. And the other thing I'd say about the startups that's going to cross over into small, medium to large companies is MVP. You've got to have a minimum viable product.
Yeah.
Would test it. Now, before, large corporates are saying, well, it's just too expensive to do tests with all our different customers and test all these different products. Now with AI, one of the companies that I'm a founder of built an AI panel of users, and we run the idea through the panel, and then we get the feedback.
Brilliant.
In an hour, something that would have cost us, $100,000 and take 6 weeks, to take 6 minutes and cost $20.
And so okay, that's so brilliant. But then I have so many questions on that. People have different viewpoints. They have different ideas. They have, how do you take into account that?
You create as many personas as you want. So in the one we're using at the moment, we've got carers in a care environment, 20 different groups, different levels of experience, graphically matched to the market we're after. They then have conversations. They then vote, and then they have cross-voting going on to see, and they have to present it to each other's group, and then it floats to the top the things that will work and the feedback that they want to give us. And it's just like having a real panel. It's not the same.
Yeah.
It's a lot cheaper and it's a lot quicker. And if we get it wrong, it doesn't really matter because we can do it again next week or this afternoon.
Yes.
But
is there anything that
human in the middle?
Is there anything that really replaces what happens in the real world, though, in those particular circumstances? I mean, it's like I would actually be very interested in that particular model. But then I also look at things that happen in the world that affects all of those things, right? Like politics, like, economic situations, like these, like, are those all programmed in?
Can be. I mean, if you say, here's a persona, and I'm going to give you the life story of this person, their politics, their belief systems, the whole lot.
But I'm talking about what happens also in the world, right?
Yeah.
That changes things.
If I want to know about you to decide if you're going to make decision A or decision B, I can take 23 data points from your social media accounts and work out what you're going to do next. In fact, I'll know it before.
That's actually very scary.
Yeah, 23 data points. If you've got 23 data points, if you trawl social media for your target group and say, build a profile based on people like this.
Mm-hmm.
And what are they more like? It's a probability game at the end of the day.
It is a probability game. Yes. What is most probable or least probable, right? Yes.
And and your point about is what's the difference between the persona, the AI results of a panel, and the real world? You could argue that, are we in the real world, or are we both avatars anyhow?
You could argue that. Very much so. You definitely could.
I was in Atlanta recently for a conference, and I couldn't be at another event, so I sent my avatar. The opening of our...
Is your avatar like more good looking than you? How did you...
He was on a mountain with snow gear. I've never been on the top of a mountain. And he was talking about a particular point that entrepreneurs can learn from the study of mountaineering. So
that's cool.
And yeah, I'll send it to you so you can put it up for the audience. But
yes, please do.
As part of what we're doing here, we're building and using those tools so that we can reach more people more efficiently. And that's the other thing. It's a numbers game.
It is.
If you're building a large corporate and you want to infuse AI into the center of it, then you have to allow people to play with the tools and use them to learn and to grow and to learn how to think to what I call, augmented intelligence with human in the middle. It's not AI, it's not artificial. It's just another tool. But if you don't put the human in, good luck.
Yeah. That's so very true. I mean, of course. Yeah. I mean, the humans make the AI. You have to put the human in it too. Yes. Yeah. So how do you scale an accelerator like that when you're helping teach mindset?
Yeah. I think that that's one of the fundamental questions that we're going to come across generally is how do you scale these small plays up into big plays? And I think the answer is we're doing it through Spark AI, which is our own small language model. So everyone's talking about large language models and they're using the Anthropic tools or the ChatGPT tools. We've actually shrunk it down to just knowledge about Bermuda. We get virtually no hallucinations because we're only giving it the information that we want it to have.
Mm.
So that our entrepreneurs through WhatsApp, through online, can access that data, have conversations in their own language. And what we've done is we've built a small language model. On top of that, we've embedded our enablement model. So it's not going to tell you, yes, you should launch an ice cream van tomorrow in Bermuda.
On the beach.
Beach, and you should put posters everywhere. Well, that's great, but it's illegal to put posters up, and you need a
Mm.
license for your ice cream van. It did suggest to one of our entrepreneurs that it should open a ski wear shop, snow ski wear shop in Bermuda.
It did.
We've never had snow, I don't believe, ever in Bermuda. Certainly no mountains on this 23-mile island. No.
Yes. So tell us the significance behind Bermuda. Like, why an accelerator there?
I was searching around the world, so I'd spent a year traveling, looking at accelerators in the US, in China, in India, all around the world, looking for a formula that says if I invest my time and money in 10 companies, how many of them will succeed? And I made it all the way around the world, came back to the UK where I lived, and found one of the most successful accelerators at the time called Entrepreneurial Spark. And I looked at their data set, compared it to everybody else around the world, and they had something magical. Went to see them. They said, why don't you go to Bermuda and learn about it? And actually, we're setting up an accelerator there. I said, where's Bermuda? A few months
Tell
later,
people where Bermuda is.
Bermuda is off the Carolinas. It's a British overseas territory, 2 hours out of Miami or New York. You all have to come and visit very soon. And the pink sand is unbelievable. And you can just about see over that shoulder, the island and the azure, the lovely colours of the island. So,
Yeah, it's like a little horseshoe.
yes, it is exactly like a little horseshoe.
Yeah.
In fact, there is one of the beaches called Horseshoe Bay.
You're kidding.
There you
Okay,
go.
good.
Your next conference is there.
That's right.
Exactly. What I discovered through that journey was, um, I didn't want to be investing in companies, investing in my time and money in wasted effort. So it was about efficiency. And I just fell in love with the place. I've been here 7 years. We've supported 600 businesses, 250 jobs. We've added about $10 million to the local GDP every year.
Every year.
Every year. And
That's a
for every
beautiful
$10,
story.
we're a charity, so every $10 we get donated to us, we generate 100.
Wow.
So as a GDP multiplier, we're pretty amazing. And a job creator as well in a small island, has a real impact. I'm very excited about what we can do here. And if we do it here, we do it
You
anywhere.
can do it in other places. Is the main industry in Bermuda tourism?
And the main industry is insurance. The world is
Oh,
insured through Bermuda. So when you have a next terrible disaster, I hope you don't, but if something happens tomorrow, they'll go to Bermuda and they'll get the money. That's where the asset is insured to make
fascinating.
sure the world continues to be able to operate, really. I mean, without insurance, there's a lot more risk in the world. People wouldn't be in certain areas of the world, couldn't run businesses.
It's true. So very true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So, yes, it's a multi-trillion dollar island with insurance, strong healthcare, strong hospitality and tourism. Yeah, that's the main driver. And it's also a great place to sandbox things. So there's a strong crypto fintech sector here developing. We were one of the first with a digital asset license platform, and the BMA, which is the regulator here, has lots of tools that allow people to get started quickly.
Wow, that's
So highly
fantastic.
regulated, strong legal structures, and
But it also sounds like extremely business friendly and very supportive. That's
exactly.
incredible. Well, that is really good for an accelerator. Tell us some of your success stories from your accelerator.
Some of them are about people, and some of them are about results.
Let's do
So,
both.
so results. I think my favorite one is We had a young lady who's a nurse and she works in the local hospital, and they were struggling with waiting lists. There's a lot of healthcare areas with waiting lists for monitors, for health monitors. And she said, "Oh, I want to fix this." So she set up a small company that provided the health monitoring, the heart monitoring systems. And she came in and said, "Look, I need $250,000. I'm going to buy all these heart monitors, and off we go." Nobody was willing to give her the money. Too risky. She didn't have a long-term contract. She'd never done it before. She came in here. We remodeled the business together. She did all the heavy lifting. And we said, "What if you got heart monitors?" And she said, "Well, what's that?" "I mean, I need 25 heart monitors." I said, "Well, if you get two and you run it for 3 months, you can buy two more, and then you can buy four." And it was just like this. 12 months later, the waiting list has been halved or eliminated, and she's changed her life. She's got an incredible business now, and that's really, really powerful.
That
The
is
other
really
thing is
powerful.
about
Yeah.
how do you save businesses occasionally or turn businesses around. So without mentioning too many of the details because it's confidential, but we've probably saved 10 large businesses on Ireland through turnaround activity.
They're not just technology companies. These are just other businesses.
Let's say a mental health business or a healthcare business or a local chain of stores, and they come in here and they're like, "Oh, I don't know how to fix this. I'm running out of money." And we realize that they're sitting on large assets. They're maybe property rich, and they just need to convert some of the assets, or they need to raise some funds because their problem is growth, not decline. They grow too quick and they haven't got cash flow to support them. So we have a sister company now that's a regulated platform for investing in small companies, which has been very powerful in terms of how do you connect the whole ecosystem. Because accelerators don't work on their own. You need mentors, you need finance, you need access to the knowledge base, you need the network. In order to change the future of society, you need an ecosystem, not an accelerator or an incubator. That is
just so very true.
Yeah.
Yes. And then tell me some of the people success stories, the human interest stories.
Yeah. I think the hardest part of what we do is sometimes people come to us and it is, they're struggling with mental health. And the reason that they see entrepreneurship as an escape valve is it's taking back their control over their lives. And for some of them, they see the entrepreneurial journey as a way out of the corporate ladder that they're struggling to survive on. And they come in here and they try something and they go, "God, I hate this. This is too much. I don't want to give up a 9 to 5 to work 24 hours for myself for less money." And they go back, but they go back with entrepreneuring skills, and they end up in much more senior jobs, maybe in better businesses, better understanding of where their skill sets are, better ability to present and pitch, better business modeling experience. Those are equally successful because they've changed as people. We say that we're not building great businesses, we're building great businesses, and we're building great people who will build great businesses.
Well, you've certainly given them purpose.
Yeah.
And given them more stability in themselves as the stable datum and able to make things go right. Like that's
another one that sticks with me is we had a young lady who's, let's say, in her 70s join us, and we have all ages, and she said funerals are incredibly expensive on Ireland. Everything's imported.
Of course.
Expensive. If you're a family on low income and you've got a sad loss in the family, you may be looking at $20,000 to deal with a funeral. Many families haven't got that. So she said, "I want to make it more affordable and more sustainable to actually have a funeral in Bermuda." So she sourced, different solutions for low-cost coffins, willow, different products, handmade products, recycled products, all sorts of ways of solving the problem. And I said to her, "You're retired, you've had a good career, And I said, "What are you doing next with this business?" She said, "Well, I'm not building it for myself." She said, "I'm building it for the next generation. I want to give this away as a gift."
Wow.
To a young Bermudian. So she's building a business to give it to the next generation.
That's amazing.
Ultimate legacy is to solve a problem that needs solving.
Of course.
Find a way of giving somebody else purpose in their life.
Incredible. Incredible. So what are your plans for Ignite Bermuda? You've been doing it for 7 years. What are the plans? Are you going to export this? Where are you going to go? I want to know everything.
So we've been asked by a number of territories, similar to ourselves to export it. I think there is an opportunity as we move into our Spark AI mode with our language models to generate something that's quite powerful that can be internationalized. We're quite happy to, share this with the world. It's not like we're trying to make lots of money. We are on a path to replacing our charitable giving with social entrepreneurship. So we're building businesses ourselves.
When you say social entrepreneurship, can you tell me more about that?
Yeah. So I don't believe that charities should be charities forever. They either solve the mission they were set, so fix the problem, or they move from philanthropic giving to self-funded models over time.
Would you like to change that industry too?
Yes. Yeah. And okay, we're going to be controversial now. So
I love it. Let's
buckle
do
up.
it.
This is going to
Buckle
get
up,
a lot of
guys.
So I want you to imagine for a moment that I ask you for a sandwich. You want a
Okay.
sandwich, fresh sandwich delivery.
I love sandwiches, by the way.
Yeah. So
Great.
you decide your sandwich, and we ask the government, we ask a charity, and we ask an entrepreneur to solve that problem for us. So let's go with the government first. The government
Okay.
arrives 2 years late with a moldy bit of sandwich and want
Done. I'm starving.
$400 for the moldy sandwich.
Right.
It was never delivered properly. It's not edible. Nobody's going to use it. We then ask the charity, and the charity delivers it a year after a year. It's an empty plate with a little note that says, "Have another $40."
Wow.
Because somebody else needed the sandwich more than you did.
Wow.
The entrepreneur delivers the sandwich. It's fresh. It's delivered on time. The guy says, enjoy your meal, and you have a lovely fresh sandwich.
Right.
So,
and sometimes you get fast service and you get a smile, and so it's exchange in abundance, right?
Yeah. So you're the problems that we have, there is a role for government.
Yes.
But, that's the politics of business and the business of politics.
Right.
I'm not going to go there. And the role of charities is, yes, we do need to feed people when they need to be fed, but is there a more efficient way? And is there collaborations between the private sector and charities to reduce the costs of doing that, making it fresher, faster, more efficient for everybody?
Well, we need to get your avatar to come back lifetime after lifetime, because what you're wanting to change is going to be more than a lifetime thing. The man span of years does not always allow him to see to fruition the things that he starts, right?
Yeah, but I think if you share it with enough people like the
Of
listeners
course.
today, we don't know who's listening today that's going to be to take those things up and say, I want to change something in my life. I want to make a difference. And it's not just getting up and grinding another day for another dollar.
Right, right. Wow. Well, I don't think that's that controversial. Come on.
Well, if you want to get controversial, no. I think the big controversy for me is running an accelerator, but also being an entrepreneur. So I have to be on both sides of the table. So as an entrepreneur, I launched a business called Smart Hydration, dehydration in care homes and hospitals. Problem, aging population, and at the same time, as an aging population, more of them are dehydrated and ending up in hospitals because of falls, UTIs, and general.
It's very interesting that you talk about that, because I don't know, just randomly reading something. And yes, people as they get older, they get more dehydrated, but they don't know that they're dehydrated.
Yep. So I saw it with my father before he passed, he was very dehydrated in hospital, and we were brushing his lips with cotton buds.
Wow.
So it sort of started something in me that was like a passion about how do we solve this real problem. But what I realized was that it solves a healthcare problem for hospitals. So take the UK, you've got 400,000 beds in nursing homes and 2,000 empty beds in hospital system. If too many people go from nursing home to a hospital, we don't get any care at all. With people queuing around the block to get into their hospitals. We saw this with COVID. So that's why smart hydration was invented, to solve that problem. We've developed a jug and a beaker with real interesting technology that alerts the carers, tells the family, tracks their use of water, and yeah, it's been a great journey, but I've had to change roles and change hats.
Yes, of course. Well, it keeps you in the game, and really understanding as an entrepreneur these people that are coming to you at your accelerator, right? I think that's so very important.
And for me, it's also about a lesson for any entrepreneur or any person in a large corporate, is how do you build that entrepreneurship back into your own business? So what do we need to do today to innovate faster than we've ever innovated before. And that is the lesson: is take everybody on an entrepreneurial journey, and that says it's okay to fail, because that's where we learn. MVPs is about taking the smallest amount of money, smallest amount of time, and testing an assumption. So in your own business, as the listener, what assumption is your business based on, and what assumption are you testing that could be the replacement for that? So in the world of PR, what is the assumption we're making about the relationship between your clients and the problem? And how is that going to change? And what new assumption could be dropped in there that creates a $1 trillion business in the next 3 years?
Fantastic. Okay, great. I'm coming to Bermuda. I'll see you. Are you only going to work with companies in Bermuda? I mean, or is it a virtual accelerator that you want to move up to? Or, I mean, that's actually asking a lot, right?
Yeah. So we will be rolling out Spark AI globally. So
Great.
anybody can log on to it. So I shouldn't really say this, but if you go to ignitebermuda.com and click on Spark AI, it'll only tell you about Bermuda. But if you want to get a flavor for what it would be like, or if you want to find out about what we're doing here in Bermuda,
great. People should sign up for that. Is it a newsletter? Can they get on a waiting list for Spark AI?
Yeah. We'll add you to the list. So
yeah,
but it'll give you a flavor for it, so you can start asking it questions about your own assumptions about your own business. And because it's, as long as you're not asking what's the price of setting up a company or anything specific, but if you're asking general questions like, what do I need to think about? What assumption could I investigate in my business? And it will ask you questions using our coaching model underneath. Give it a go, see what you can find out.
I love it. Yes, our audience definitely will. Okay, so outside of Ignite Bermuda and Spark AI, what do you like to do in your copious free time? What's your hobbies?
So before I came here, I was an ultra distance runner. So I've run 2 100-kilometer.
I was going to say ultra distance is 50 to 100 miles, right?
Yeah. So anything more than a marathon is technically ultra.
Okay.
I was running 62 miles. So the Thames Path Challenge, I've run twice. I came here, it's such a small island, it's not really suited to running.
You could go around that horseshoe a few times.
So we have a walk every year called End to End, and it's basically a marathon, but you walk it, and it starts at one end of the island and finishes the other.
Yeah.
It's a great way to get to know Bermuda. You don't have to do all of it. You can do.
How many miles is that?
24 miles.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So it's a few hours out. It's so I've just done that recently, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one. I don't know what the next thing is. I've been so in this and smart hydration. Those two things have absorbed me.
I know. That's why I always say copious free time. Somebody asked me one time, what do you do in your free time? And I said, ha ha, my copious free time. And then I crack myself up. So then I know, speaking to innovators and entrepreneurs, most of their life is spent around their creation.
When I'm out walking on long distance walks, so these might be 3 hours, 4 hour walks, I'll listen to your podcast, which is absolutely great, and I love your
thank you.
Views.
There's some great people on, aren't there? They're just so amazing. Yeah.
And that's a great way of absorbing information. I find podcasts are a great way of either listening to things you wouldn't normally hear, which you're great at bringing people like that together, or hearing things that you disagree with strongly.
Yeah, I think it's okay to disagree with things.
Yeah, I mean, people today might disagree about what the role of AI is going to be. There's a group, I don't know if you saw it, but there was a speaker opening a graduation, and she mentioned the word AI, and it was just boos in the hall. So there's a group of people who are let's close it all down. We don't need this AI. We want humans to run the world. And there's another group that are just, it's too late. We've left the cat out of the bag. It's out in the real world, and we can build medicines in a week that we used to take 10 years. We can change. Abundance is coming group. So you got abundance is coming and shut it all down. It's going to be an interesting debate between those two groups.
It is. It's going to be an interesting debate. Well, let me tell you, it creates a lot of long-term, disagreements, which is great for public opinion, and the media is loving it. So there you go. Okay, so tell people how to get a hold of you, Sean.
I'm on LinkedIn. So Sean, SeanRwel. You'll find me on LinkedIn. That's where I'm most at home, or use the ignitebermuda.com to access our information and find out more about what we're doing. And if any of your listeners are interested in finding out more about how they can donate, help, support, mentor, we have an online mentor platform as well, which they can join if they want to mentor a young person. They don't have to be in Bermuda to do that. And of course, they may want to visit their mentees.
They may visit. I was just thinking that. Yeah, of course.
And we'd love to see you all over here soon, and keep changing the world. Keep being contrarian, everybody.
So that begs the next question. What would you like to leave our listeners with before we end off?
The three things we're missing or short of is time, money, and health. Don't trade them in the wrong order.
Mic drop moment. Thank you very much. All right, that's a wrap, everyone. If you learned something today, I know you did. Go tell someone about this podcast. Tell people to go disrupt their markets with a tidbit from Sean. Thanks for listening to Disruption Interruption, where we transform lives. We change consumer and entrepreneur behavior. We alter economics, and we never accept the status quo. Ciao for now.
Bye, everybody. Thanks, KG.
Yeah, thank you.
Because we live in a highly litigious society, with America being one of the top litigious countries in the world, here's our legal disclaimer. This information is not intended to be a substitute for professional public relations or legal advice. Do not disregard seeking professional, legal, healthcare, or financial advice, or delay seeking professional PR or legal advice because of something you have heard here. Contact an attorney to obtain advice on any particular legal situation or problem. Use of this podcast or our website or any of its social media or email links do not create an agency-client relationship between Johto PR and the user.